Hi, now we will understand how to work with different data types in PySpark, like how to work with booleans, with numbers, strings, and with string how we can use regular expressions, and how to work with date timestamp and also play around nulls. So we will cover all these. Let's get started. Let's start by reading this table. So we will be reading this samples.bakehouse.sales transaction table. We read this table using Spark, which is the Spark session .read .table. We create this data frame and then we display this data frame. So here we can see this is the data frame. It has all these columns with their data types, and here we can see the actual data. Now let's see how we can play around Boolean. So Boolean means it is used to check true false kind of things. So a Boolean expression, it can be either true or false. So let's say if we apply a where condition and mention that payment method, it is equal to MasterCard. So what it will do is in our input data frame, wherever the payment method is MasterCard, so it will return as true. Wherever it is not MasterCard, it will be false. So whatever is true, that means if it is MasterCard, that will be the data which will be filtered here, and that's what we will get in the output. So this way we have applied that condition, and wherever that condition is true, that's the data we are getting here. So this is the way we can use the true operation of Boolean. And if we want to use the reverse of it, like whenever this condition is false, let's say payment method, it is not equal to MasterCard, then we will get that data. So this is how we can get the reverse of it, so that wherever it is not MasterCard, that those are the records we will get if we use it this way. And if we want to do the same thing in SQL, then what we do is we select star all the columns from this particular table, and then where close, and then the Boolean expression or operation. So it will also do the same thing. If payment method is MasterCard, those are the records it will return. So this way we are getting the same output. And the reverse of it, to make it false, we use this not operator, like not equal to MasterCard. So if we use this, then it will return the records where payment method, it is not MasterCard. Next, let's understand how we can play around numbers. So let's say in our data frame, we want to add a new column with the name mycol, and what it will store is, it will take the quantity column, it will create the power of 2, like the quantity raised to power 2, and then divide it by 6. So this POW power, this is a function available, and then this division, like plus, minus, divide and multiply, these are available by default. So this way we can calculate this as a new column. And as you can see, this new column, it doesn't look good because it has so many decimal values. So then to solve it, we can use something called as round function. So we can wrap the previous expression in a round, and in the round we have mentioned that it shall be rounded to 2. So now it will round the output to 2 decimal points, and that's what we will get it here. So this is the example of the numeric function, but in mathematics, in Spark SQL, there are so many functions. So we can check them in the documentation and then use any of those. And the same operation, if we want to do it in SQL, then this is how we do it. The same thing we specify here, and then select star from that, and then from the table. So this way we will get the same output in SQL also. So same result we are getting here. So this is how we play around on the numbers. Next, let's understand how we can play around on the string data types. So let's say from this data frame, I am taking only one column, product. And then what I am doing is, for that product column, I want that in the lower case. So let's say this is my product column. I want to convert it to lowercase so that all the characters are in lowercase in English. Then we have this lower function. So within our expression, we mention this lower, then the column name. So this output column lower product, we will get it in the lower case. Similarly, so for getting the data in uppercase, we have the upper function which will return the same data in uppercase. And if we want to, let's say, trim any string, by trimming it means if there is any space at the start or at the end of this data, so it will remove it, and the output we will get as the trimmed product. So that this is how we can remove the spaces which are at the start or at the end of the string. Similarly, let's say if we want the portion of the string, not the entire string. So let's say from this product, we want only the first 4 characters. So then there is another function available called as substring. And what this will do is, it will take the column, it will start from this position. So if 0 means from the very beginning, we can start from any other position also if we want. And then from the start position, how many characters do we want to pick? We want to pick 4 characters here. So this is how it will take the first 4 characters from this string. So that's how this substring works. And next, let's say if we want to split our string and create a array out of that, then we use this split function. So we take this product column, we split it based on the space. So between these single quotes, this is the space here. So based on this space, it will split it and then create a array. So let's say here there are 3 words which are separated by a space. So it will create an array with these 3 values. And how to play around array, this is something we will discuss later on. So these are the different things which we can do with string data types, and this is not limited to only these 4. There are other so many functions which are available. Let's check out the official documentation. So here is the official documentation which explains which all functions are supported. So there are so many which we cannot cover in a video. So we are going through the important and the most commonly used examples, but if you have any particular scenario, so depending on that, you can search for any function, it shall be available, and then you can use that. So these are the functions not only related to string, but for number, strings, nulls, or array, struct, which are complex data types. So for everything we have a function. So this is how we were able to use the string related functions, and these same functions, if we want to use it in SQL, here also these are directly available, like lower, upper, trim, substring, and split. So with the exact names, the same functions are available in SQL also. Next, let's understand something called as regex. So regex means regular expression. Regex, it is a short term. So what regular expression means is, it is an expression which is like which came from the Java days. So basically it is a standard way of writing some expression which has some standards, and based on that expression it can find out some specific pattern within our data. So for example, let's say we had that product column, and from that product column, what we want is, if we let's say want to pick up the middle character here, let's say we want something which is separated by 2 spaces, start and end, and then it is in the middle. So that keyword, if we want to extract, for that we have some expression. Like that, whatever we want to do in string, we can write it in terms of the regular expression, and the regular expression itself can be a separate course. But in general nowadays, like we can just use any LLM model or AI just to generate regular expression. So this is the regular expression to extract the middle word there. So let's say this, it means start of the string, this means end of the string, s means this s, it means space. Like that, there are different meaning of each one of these, and these are some warnings which we can ignore. And then if we want to extract the data based on that regular expression, then we use this regex extract function. And here we have specified one means its first occurrence within the string. If you want the second or third occurrence, that way also we can take it out. So this is the use of this regex extract. Similarly, there is another function available like regex replace, and what it will do is it will match the regular expression, and whatever word or part of the string which is matching that expression, it will replace that with the other string that we are providing here. So for example, in this same case, right, if the keyword it is matching with this gate or whatever word expression we have supplied, it will replace not the part of it, I think I missed it, it replaces that entire string with the string that we provide. And if it don't find that regular expression, then it will not replace anything. So that's how like this regex replace works. And both these functions these are available in SQL also with the exact same names. So these may seem little bit tricky, but if we don't have any function available in Spark that can extract the values that we want in our own way, then using the regular expression, it can be a really good idea, and in the real projects we have to use it many times. Next, let's understand how we can play around dates and timestamps. So let's say in our data frame we have a column named as date time, and this contains some date, like up to this 14 it is the date, and after this t, this is the timestamp, like the hour, minute, seconds and milliseconds. And after that this plus 00, this means like the time zone. Let's say for India it is plus 5:30, for US it is minus something. So for every time zone there is a different notation, and the data type here we can see it is timestamp. So let's say this is a timestamp column, and then there are different functions which can be used to play around dates and timestamp. For example, the function current date, it will return us the today's date. Let's say this is the date today. And the function current timestamp, it will return the current time, what is the exact time now. And these are like the function which will return new date and new time whenever we are running it. Let's say if we want to do something with the existing column, let's say this is a timestamp column and we want only the date from it, then we use this function toDate. So then this function, it will return only the date part of this timestamp. And after getting the date, let's say if we want to add or subtract any number of days, so for that we get these two functions, date add and date subtract. So whatever we mention here, date add, then on that particular date it will add these many days. So if we check out the output here, so on let's say this 14th, if we add 5 days we get this 19. So that's how it works. And sometimes we may not get the timestamp in the exact data type or in this format only. So let's say if we are getting any string column where the format is like this, like 2025, which is the year, 10 is the month and 14 is the day. Then because this is not the default, the standard way of storing the date, then it will be it will be taken as a date. But if we want to cast it or convert it to a date column, what we need to do is we take that string. Here we can take any column name also. In this case I am taking this hard coding string literal, and then we specify what is the format of this, like how these are available. So this y means year, means month, and dd means days. Similarly, we have like hours, like small case it means minute, and uppercase it means month. So this is also very important. And hour, minute, and second. So this way, if we specify that particular string, then we can convert the string to a date, or if we have a timestamp, then we mention the timestamp and it will be converted to the timestamp type. So this is how we can cast any string to any date or any timestamp. That's how it works. So these are all the main functions. Again, we have so many functions available for dates and timestamps. We can check out the documentation whenever we need anything and then use them. And all these functions are available in SQL also, as you may expect already. And we can use this in SQL the exact same way. So the same functionality, it is working in SQL also. Next, let's understand how we can play around the null data. So let's say we have these two columns. So from our data frame, we are selecting only transaction ID and customer ID. And what we want to do is, if we want to put some logic, let's say if transaction ID is not null, then take transaction ID. If it is null, then take the next thing, which is customer ID. So then this kind of logic can be done using the function coalesce. And this function, it can take 2 or even more parameters. So it will start with the first column here, and wherever it will find not null, that column it will pick up and then take that column as the output. So that's how coalesce function works. And the same thing in this case we can do using something called as case when, which is similar to if else in a normal programming. So let's say here we are writing it in detail. Let's say case when transaction ID is not null, then take the transaction ID. Else means if transaction ID is null, then take customer ID, and then end of the statement. So this way we use this case when statement. This is like if else condition, and we can use multiple like case when this then this, when this then this, like a ladder also to write any custom logic. So this is used to write more of the custom logic, and this is specifically to take first not null value. So both of this we can use however we want. And then let's say if we want to drop the records where some particular column is null, then what we do is we have this dot na. Na means like a null value, and then dot drop, it will drop those rows. Subset means where this particular column is null. If we specify multiple column, then whichever row it contains a null value, those rows it will drop, and rest of the rows it will take. That's how this drop function works. And if we don't want to specify any column, then we can specify all also, and it will drop the rows where all the values are null, and then those only it will remove, and rest of the rows it will keep. That's how this drop all works. Similarly, there is another thing like fill also. So dot na always means nulls. So if wherever is a null value in our data, if we want to fill it my custom value, let's say if it finds any null, it will mention my value there. So to fill null value with any specific value, that's where this fill method is used. So here we can see that these are my transaction ID and customer ID. So if it is not null, it is picking this column only. In my case, there is no null value, so it is always picking the first one. But if it is null anywhere, then it will pick up the customer ID using that coalesce. And similarly, the same thing it is doing using if else also. If this is not null, it is picking this. If this is null, then it will pick this. And then it is dropping the rows wherever the transaction ID is null. So we will not see any record here where the transaction ID is null, because those are already removed by the code. And the same thing, if we want to do it in SQL, then the exact same command, exact same functions are available in SQL, and we can do it in SQL also, as we can see here. So this is how we can play around different types of data in PySpark. But again, these are some of the examples I could show given the time. But in practical, there are so many functions to play around all these different data types. So whatever we want to do, we go to the documentation, we check what is the best suitable option for us, and then we use it. That's how practically we work on any project. So that's what I wanted to explain here now. Thank you. Bye bye.